what we could do now is bring another dimension to this, and fitness within the law of attraction, because I'm welcoming now our co-host for the next hour, the Law of Attraction in Action show, Mr. Nick Fon. Good evening to you.
Hello, Carl. How are you?
I'm really good, man. You?
Yeah, very, very well, thank you. Very relaxed.
Exhausted after your holiday, but I'm guessing.
Yeah, well, yes and no. I mean, I'm trying to get my body ready for work tomorrow, so yeah, I've been pottering about catching up with everyone and everything today, so yeah. Just a little bit tired.
Nick, meet Garth, meet Angela. Angela, meet Garth, meet Nick. Garth,
hello,
Nick.
hello.
Hello, Angela. Hello, Nick.
Hello.
Fitness, physical fitness, having a body that you love being in. What would you, from a point of view, how can we bring that aspect to this, given that we're the Barefoot Broadcast?
With anything that's physically manifested is just a reflection of your vibration. So when it comes down to your body, it is just a reflection of how you feel. Because a lot of people say to law of attraction teachers, so what do I eat? Do I eat organic? Do I diet? Do I eat this? Do I eat that? And what Abraham is so strongly about is they say, well, do whatever, but make sure you line up with it. Don't eat the chocolate and then feel guilty, or don't not eat the chocolate but terrorize yourself for it. Same with exercise, same with anything. And once you line up your energy, then exercise or anything can be fun and aligned, but don't kind of punish yourself or beat yourself into alignment, because that's going about it the hard way. I just caught the tail end of this conversation, but what popped straight into my mind was someone came to my group last month, and they gave a wonderful example of how they've lost so much weight, but it wasn't trying. I mean, they had to put effort in it, obviously, but it was more a case of, I'm going to do this because I enjoyed it, and I'm going to do this because I enjoy it, and the pounds just flew off, and it wasn't as terrorizing as having to force himself to do it. So,
that's kind of my maxim as well, Something has got to be enjoyed. If something is forced, you're never going to enjoy it, because it's like being... It's just like pushing your nose against a grindstone. It's got to be fun. The desire has got to come from within, but also you've got to be passionate about what you do, because if you're not passionate, you're not going to enjoy it.
Exactly.
That's right. And if you like yourself, whatever size, etc., whatever you're eating, you're going to be more likely to eat nourishing food. But if you kind of think, oh, I can't eat this, I can't eat that, you actually want to eat it, because you can't eat it. So you actually do go and have those things when you know you shouldn't. So by actually not thinking about a diet and thinking about yourself in a different way, and say, yes, actually, I do want that piece of cake, but I won't have a full piece, I'll just have a smaller piece. And then it makes it more enjoyable, and you don't actually think about it. And eating slower as well, and being able to digest your food, that's another way of losing weight, because when you eat quickly and very fast, you actually, because you don't break down the food, you actually put more weight on. So looking at all different ways of actually losing weight, fitness, exercise, and actually I'll go to the post office and I might do abdominal exercises and I'm walking. Nobody knows I'm doing it, but I know I'm doing it.
She's so cheeky. She's so cheeky, that lady, doing abdominal exercises while she's going to the post office. We want to see that video on YouTube. Wow. Angela, Garth, thank you so much. If you stay tuned, you're going to find out how it was necessary last week, but how we might win it this week. Is that right, Nick?
Well, potentially.
All right, good. Okay, excellent. Garth, thanks very much.
No problem. Good night, guys. Nice to meet you tonight.
Lovely to meet you.
Good night.
We'll be right back after this. Bye for now.
You're listening to the Barefoot Broadcast, sponsored by Tom Evans' Right in Tune with the Moon programme. Find out more about getting your book written in less than a moon at thebarefootbroadcast.com.
Fantastic. Comment in the chat room. Thank you, Shannon. Hi, Shannon, in Texas. If my husband keeps trying new recipes, I'll be losing a lot of weight. That's one approach to it, isn't it? Poor guy, he's doing his best, I'm sure. Obviously not a MasterChef finalist here in the UK. Yeah, on your travels, you're feeling relaxed. Yeah, let's have a bit of a catch-up, shall we? It's all been rather excitable in the last hour or so. Let's have a fireside chat, Law of Attraction style, shall we?
Oh, great. Yeah, I mean, it was absolutely wonderful. Just the exercise and the state of mind, because bringing it back to technology, which I absolutely cannot live without, I just adore it. All these computer games, which were once really antisocial, sit in front, get square eyes, they're so interactive now. Like, I was playing all afternoon the Xbox Connect, which there's a game called Dance Central, and it teaches you how to dance, and you're working your whole body, like from top to toe. It's really absolutely amazing. And again, it's once you line up with all these things, getting your energy in the right state, you'll find all these easy ways to lose weight or gain weight or do whatever you want with your body, and that will come appear to you. But if you're not in that space, then you'll rendezvous with things which don't work for your body, and that's where, half of these things go off.
But it's interesting you should say that, because that was the dominant old school view of computer games, wasn't it? It's like, that no good will come of this, you mark my words. Children in their bedrooms just playing on these games and locked in their own little world. Now, fear would have it that something terrible is going to happen. But love has it, and the law of attraction has it, that okay, yeah, there may be another dimension to this. How can we evolve these computer games such that they're more fun, and that there's more love in it, and more joy in it, and what do you know, next thing you know, you've got a game that involves other people, and you've got a game that involves the exuberance and joy of dancing. We evolve for the best, don't we, if we allow that to happen?
I mean, it's always that way, no matter how good or how bad it seems in the moment. You have to trust. One of Jerry Hicks's favourite phrases is, "It's always working out for me." No matter how it may seem in a moment, it's always working out for me. It's just sending that kind of thought ahead of you, and you just have to trust.
Tell you what, peeps, if you're listening to this Law of Attraction in Action show and you do nothing else this week that you hear from anything else on the Barefoot Broadcast, even if you put that into practice, I'm sure you would have a very different week. That if you reframed every experience you had with Jerry's words there, that's reported by Nick, it's always working out for me. Is that what he says?
Pretty much, yeah. No matter how it seems, in any moment in time, it's always working out for me.
Try that, people, for the next week. When you think that things aren't going your way, try reframing it with that, and I'm sure your life will be very different in 7 days' time. Now, 7 days ago, we were talking about winning the lottery, weren't we? Well, we were talking about playing the lottery. We weren't talking about winning it necessarily. We were talking about exploring the ongoing experiment with the law of attraction, and we picked some numbers, and we talked about your approach to the lottery, which was absolutely fascinating. I forget the special name you give the lottery, Nick. Can you remind me?
Exponential investment vehicle. It's just a bit of fun.
No, that's right, but it reframes it, doesn't it? Because when you say lottery to people, their visceral reaction is, "Oh, that thing I never win." Whereas if you reframe it as fun, as you've just done, you can play it and you can get different results. Now, we picked some numbers, and to the cynical eye, to the negative eye, we didn't win. Which, to the factual eye as well, we didn't win. your response, which was fantastic, was we were quite close. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, let's keep playing this game. And let's see where we can go with this. We don't need to just write it off, do we? We can keep honing our... That's what we're here for. We're here for the evolution. We're here for the fun. And for the people who listen to this show, I reckon we might still be in it to win it, so to speak. And we can just, we can sit back. We can reflect on or lick our wounds and think about how we might go at it again this week. What do you reckon, Nick? How about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's interesting that happened because, I mean, there's so much going on in the public forum, and that's why I was a bit like, well, is it going to work? Is it going to work? I wouldn't expect it to, but it's just interesting to see what happens. There's a lot of play at there. But it's funny that this comes up because one of my best mates from work, she was texting me earlier saying, because she asked me last week, such and such team is playing football, and I haven't got the faintest, foggiest idea about football teams, whatever. And she just said, just predict your result. And I'm like, 2-1 to the blue team, or whatever. And she put some money on it, and she won 15 quid. And again, for me, that's a nice indication, because for me there's no resistance. I'm not putting any money on it. I don't even know who the hell's playing. I have no vested interest. But, and again, I just get these psychic, if you want to call it that, flashes for that. So I just say, I know it's just going to be that, or it's going to be that. And again, it's just a bit of fun, you know. She did it, she played it, she got some money, good for her. If I played it, it might not work because I'd introduced resistance. But again, it's just a nice sign of, okay, well, you know, it can work when you're in the really allowing state. And again, I had no idea about any of this. I just picked the numbers and just said, well, who team's going to win? And they did. So, you know, it's just a bit of fun at the end of the day.
But we see this, don't we? We see this in the storytelling of our culture, because we have a phrase called beginner's luck. And then there's that classic scene, isn't there, in a casino, where the cynical old gambler gets someone passing by. Classically in a movie, it's going to be a pretty woman, isn't it, who just doesn't know how the rules of the game at all. So she is your stereotypical dumb blonde, let's say, who he says, come to the table and throw the dice for me or pick my numbers. And she giggles and picks some numbers, and what do you know, lo and behold, there's a winner there. And it's the same with the beginner's luck thing, isn't it? There's no attachment to the outcome. It's just play. It's just fun. And kids can do this, can't they? They step up to the coconut shy or tossing the horseshoe away. They don't know what they're doing, and you know, there they go. They mission accomplished. They do what's been required, and so desperately sought after by the seasoned pros of the game.
And you raise an exquisite point there, because that's actually what I've seen happen time and time again when people first come into the law of attraction. They'll do a gratitude list or whatever you want to call it, or positive aspects or a focus wheel, and then stuff will start happening, you know, either within hours or days, if not sooner. And I've seen this happen over and over again. Abraham says it's because they're releasing resistance for the first time, therefore things start to come in quite quickly. But also, after that, things tend to take a downward turn, and then they fall off the wagon. And that's kind of the breaking point, where if you get back on the wagon and really apply it and trust that it doesn't matter what's going on physically manifested in front of you, if you keep on at it, you'll continue to succeed, and then they gain the momentum back again. And other people just choose to leave it, and that's their choice. But I've seen that time and time again, and it's happened to me. I think it's just one of those things. It's like, I guess the health crisis point where you choose to detoxify or whatever happens at that point. You know, something will happen and it might pull you off, but if you can keep at it, then that's when you see the results, and it's consistency and commitment to consciousness, as I like to say.
So true. So I've got such a story to tell you after I've given out the phone number, Nick. It just reminded me, because someone told me today the very same thing. But anyway, if you want to get some law of attraction coaching, if you want to finesse your relationship with the law of attraction, because we're not talking here about whether you have a relationship with the law of attraction or not. You just do. Like you have a relationship to gravity, okay? This is how we see it here on this radio show and radio station. You have a relationship with the law of attraction, and we have some brilliant people, including Nick here, that will help you finesse that relationship and really get the most out of your how your consciousness is working in relation to the law of attraction. If you want some help with a particular issue, or if you want to talk generally, or if you just want to make any sort of comment about the law of attraction, 347-857-3198 is the number to call. Put the US dialing code from wherever you are in the world in front of this number, 347-857-3198, or come through on Skype, or talk to us from the chat room, which is open for business right now. Here on the Barefoot Broadcast, the Law of Attraction in Action show with Nick Fon, my guest, on a Tuesday evening between 9 and 10 UK time. Now, the wonderful anecdote that came up for me this afternoon to illustrate beautifully the point you just made about Law of Attraction first-timers, you know, get into the rules and principles, they try something, and hey, presto, it works like a charm. I was talking to a friend of mine, Susie, who came up to visit where I'm living and working at the moment, and you know, I'm law of attraction is a really important thing for me, Susie. And she said, "Oh, what? So like Abraham, and we were talking about Solomon, and we were talking about Terah." And she said, "Yeah, she showed me her ring finger, and she said that there's normally an engagement ring on here, and just before or just around the time I was getting married." I went swimming, And I looked down a couple of days later, and the engagement ring, and so, add insult to injury, this is a family heirloom. The engagement ring of her grandmother was missing from her ring finger on the run up to her wedding. A friend of hers says to her, I can't really afford to buy you a present, but what I'm going to give you is my manifestation thingamajig, right? Which turns out to be a bit of wood with 3 nails nailed into it, okay? Not the most conventional, not the sort of thing you see on wedding lists next to the, what do people have on their wedding list now? Some design crockery and cutlery and a DVD player and maybe an iPod and this, that and the other for the happy couple. No, this was a piece of gnarly old wood by the sound of it with 3 nails hammered into it at jaunty angles. What you do when you go to bed is you write something on a piece of paper and you stick it on this thing, on one of the nails as your manifestation mojo worker, right? So Susie writes Grandma's engagement ring on this thing. And do you know what? The police ring to say, were you swimming at such and such a place? Can you describe this ring? Because someone's handed it in at this remote moorland place where people go swimming. Someone picked it up and handed it into the police, and it's found its way back to her. And, I said, okay, so you're using that thing, you're using the manifestation mojo machine every night then, are you, after a result like that? No, I haven't touched it since. This is what people do, isn't it? This is what human beings do. So, and you must see this all the time in your group.
Yeah, and the thing is though, what a lot of people say is they do beat themselves over the head. They say, oh, I should do this, I should be more motivated, and that's why I'm here. You have to just ease off yourself and say, well, you know what, I've come to it at the right time. And sometimes things have to get really, really bad for you to dig deep enough to find something else. And that's okay. But yeah, it doesn't have to get that bad to prompt someone to do something about it. But, sometimes it just has to take that course, and that's fine too.
You've got to ask yourself, haven't you, if you can get magical results like that, why do you put the thing with why do you put the bit of wood with the 3 nails in it in a drawer somewhere and forget about it? It's just extraordinary, isn't it? But anyway, enough of my ranting about that. I just thought that was really funny. Let me play your show jingle to remind everybody where we are. And Nikki's getting tremendous value from the Barefoot Broadcast. She wants to have another bite of the cherry. We'll be right back after this.
You're listening to Nick Fond's Law of Attraction in Action show. Find out more at www.thebarefootbroadcast.com.
Right, yes, Nick Fond's Law of Attraction in Action session between 9 and 10 here on the Barefoot Broadcast. And if I can unlatch this button here, I can say to Nikki, come on, Nikki, let someone else have a go.
I'm more than happy for somebody else to have a go.
I'm kidding. It's so great to hear from you, because you are such a sport with the NPA, the non-personal awareness. Isn't that a lovely modality?
It was. That's why I'm not going to go for the all-out of the law of attraction. It was more a wee question that I had.
You're through to Nick.
Hello.
It's probably something that's been asked 101 times, but I'm going to ask it again anyway, if that's okay.
Yep.
How do you go from wanting to believe something to happen to actually believing it will happen?
Do you have any specific examples, or are you just speaking generally?
In general, just with the whole law of attraction, it's from what I can get, it's to do with the believing that something's going to happen and just letting that go, that belief go, that it will happen. And that's what I find quite difficult, is getting past the mind of, oh no, but that might get in the way, or that might get in the way, and just believing it.
Okay, well, there's so many angles that we can come at for this, but if you're familiar with the vortex, that's Abraham Hicks's kind of analogy for your good feeling space, the first step is hope. Hope is the difference between hope and fear is the vibrational difference between recovery or not. So it's kind of getting on that, from going from I don't believe it's at all possible to it could be possible, it might be possible. And that's your first rung, and there's a number of ways to achieve that. And once you go from hope, it's a step up into belief and then knowing it's going to happen.
Right.
The other way around that, and that's going about it quite in a deliberate way, which is where we would introduce some of the processes. We would, that's one of the things that I do with the focus wheel or the list of positive aspects. It's getting in a good feeling space regarding this topic. The other way that they recommend is just to get off the subject completely, and this is quite a new thing that they're emphasizing a lot, and it's something that I'm trying to implement as the days go by. Just get off the subject completely, get off into good feeling space, whatever that is, and trust that you've set forth your desire and that it will come to you, and just get off your mind off it completely, and then you'll start to see your the proof of it, and then that's what will sweep you in. So there's two ways about it, depending on how big the topic is for you and what exactly is it. If it's the kind of this huge thing that just stresses you out every time, then our advice is just get off the topic, let it sort itself out, and trust that it will. And I'm seeing that more and more with my life every day. If it's less resistant, it depends on how far into law of attraction you are, because if you're just starting and you want anything to be proved, then you can mess around. If you've been doing it for a while and it's a bigger topic, then you can either apply it quite deliberately and try and wrestle the issue to the ground, or you can just let go. Again, that's something that I would, or whoever would work with you on that particular thing, and the coach would be able to fill that out for you where you are, and that's the two ways of going about it. Either tackle it directly, and then you'll start to get proof, or leave it completely, get in your happy space, and then things will start happening that will enable you to get there in your belief. But to go from doubt to pure belief, that's too big of a jump. It's just getting into the hope, the possibility thinking, and then working from there.
Brilliant. Yeah, definitely get off the subject and just trust. That kind of came in flashing lights when you said that, so that's the thing that I'll try.
Okay, no worries.
So are you quite new to it, Nikki?
Yeah, kind of. With the Reiki, obviously, you've got Reiki grids and things that you can put the energy in and to send good vibes to it there for it to happen. So I know that type of thing. But the actual law of attraction, I've heard it probably for the good sort of 4 years now, and always looked a little bit into it, but never went fully into it. But I think I'm getting drawn more and more.
Yeah, you hang around in this community, and that's what will happen.
Can't get away from it.
Just go on YouTube, search out some clips. There's so many clips. There's a billion clips out there on how to manifest money or relationships or love or jobs. And when you get to the crux of it, just get happy and let it go, and you'll realize that you'll be so happy without it that it doesn't matter if you have it or not, and then you'll have it. And that's the kind of crux about it.
Great. Get happy and let it go. Love that.
That's not bad advice, is it? Because even if nothing happened, you'd still be happy and you would have let go.
Yeah.
That can't be bad.
Fantastic.
Superb. Thanks for calling, Nikki. And I was only joking. You're welcome any time to the Barefoot Broadcast. You're a pillar of the Barefoot Broadcast community.
Thank you.
That was so official, wasn't it? Okay.
Well, wave.
You have a great evening.
You too. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye for now.
That's a really great question. Really, really good stuff.
Absolutely. The kind of basic, simple questions are really, and I don't mean that in a bad way, they are so important. I mean, they are the fundamentals, and it's almost like the question you're afraid of. That was one of those, I think. I thank Nikki for asking that.
And I love all questions, especially, people coming into it for the first time, because they've got the most questions, whereas as people get along and think, I should know this, I'm not going to speak about it. But it's the new fresh ones who have really got the biggest questions and the most asking that provide the best material. I actually wanted to talk about that point you made about the lost thing, because that's quite interesting, because I remember talking to you last week about saying that when you get your vibration in a really good state, whatever, you'll either be happy without it or whatever it is will not bother you. And this has happened to me a couple of times in the past few months. I remember I was at Sainsbury's and I opened my pass to get my credit card and all my cards fell out, and I just packed everything back in there and I just left. And 2 weeks later I received an envelope and someone posted me back my driver's license, which I had absolutely no idea I had lost in the first place. And I thought that was absolutely lovely. But again, it didn't stress me out. And another time came to me when I was searching for my credit card and I couldn't find it. And I was in Asda's. I thought, oh, don't worry about it. I'm sure it's in my bag. So I left. And then this guy came up to me and he looked a bit scruffy, and, you know, my first judgment was like, oh, okay, what does he want? And he said, is this yours? Because it had my picture on it. I was like, wow, that's absolutely amazing, because, I mean, it didn't even bother me in the first place, and I just trusted in my well-being, and the universe was matching that to me by saying, well, you are taken care of. You don't even need to worry about anything. And I thought that was just really nice.
I had that, and this is, I'm going to give away a massive secret here, but that's probably because I might never get round to it anyway, but I got a couple of parking tickets in the last little while. And the big lesson it's taught me, obviously, as well as start taking notice of parking restrictions, that's the first thing it taught me. But the second thing is to read the signs a bit better. But the thing it taught me was how much pain a piece of yellow plastic can potentially cause you that's stuck to your window. And I just thought, that's extraordinary. I felt the immediate pang, you know that thing when you do see a parking ticket on your car, and it's like it's really there in the guts. It bypasses any kind of, certainly any intelligence or intellect. It's pure emotion of like, oh my God, and I'm thinking, whatever, that can't be worth £30 or £60 or wherever it's going to cost. It can't be worth that much to be so upset about something. So as soon as I was able to feel that sort of hook and barb going into me of this, I don't know if I'm alone with this. I might be sounding like a complete crazy fool, but I think it wouldn't be the first time on here, but I suspect other people have had that reflex reaction to a parking ticket where, you know, the whole thing is designed to make you feel bad, but I realized it, you know, and I thought to myself, okay, I'll reverse engineer this. I had a terrible feeling at first, on first glance, seeing this parking ticket, and I immediately caught it, and I thought to myself, do you know, I have a choice here. I don't have to feel mortally wounded by some stupid fine that someone's put onto me. I can let this go. I can let this be paid in a different way. I can realise that I've got away with parking on yellow lines, and I mean, I hope that people don't come after me now demanding payment, but I'll share this between you and me. I've had so much more free parking than any amount of parking tickets I've received in the last 7 days. You know, that's the bottom line of it. There really is no need for me to feel bad, and I can completely choose it. And I just thought, it's an interesting thing, that yellow sticker that gets put on your car, or the policeman stopping you. These are responses that we've learned. They're not givens, are they, in the way that they feel? They're things we've learned, and they're things we can unlearn. And when it goes through to the guts or the heart of you, you can unlearn and you can relearn that experience. So does that make any sense, Nick?
Absolutely. You say so much, and there's so much that's coming through that I want to cover, because I mean, first of all, that's highly enlightened talk, because what you're doing is you're saying, this doesn't feel good, how can I change it? And I don't know if you've experienced this a lot before or at all, but that's exactly what we're after. It's not ignoring negative emotion, it's just saying, I feel bad about this. It's awareness, and if you can nip it in the bud that time, it comes up every time, and do that shift, the parking tickets will stop, or you'll line up with greater well-being or whatever, because that is the work. I cannot stress enough how much that is the work. It's just saying, this doesn't feel good in my gut. How can I change it, or how can I get off the subject so I feel better? And that is the work. On the other hand, it's so true what you say. What pops into my head immediately is that Esther totally ignores all the speeding limits wherever she goes. And because she's not a vibrational match to that kind of well-being, she'll get away with it. She went for an eye test several years ago, and she couldn't read it. She's like, I'm not wearing glasses. So she said, Abraham, tell me the letters, and Abraham read it out for them perfectly. And they said, Esther, your eyes, just different focus. So, you know.
Wonderful. Isn't that brilliant? Superb. Othaniel in New York, a new and very welcome member of the Barefoot Soulmate community. Hi, good evening to you, Othaniel. Question, comment in the chat room here, Nick. I know you step out, don't you, when you come on air?
Yeah,
so I'll take care of this for you.
Absolutely beyond me.
Well, I got Solomon and Abraham reading it out to me.
A whole crew.
Yeah, as a human being, sometimes I get upset and can't always reel myself in. Carry my vibration level to avoid this. I assume this would affect manifestation. I think Nathaniel means that, yeah, if she gets upset, that would affect manifestation. Great question. Another classic question, isn't it, from a law of attraction point of view?
Absolutely. So let me get this right. Is it if I feel bad, I'll get bad manifestation? Is that kind of where that
I think that's part of it, but the mechanics here, the advice being sought is, as a human being, sometimes I get upset and can't always reel myself in. How can I raise my vibration level to avoid this? So I suppose the question there is, can you raise your standing vibration such that you don't get upset? Or when you get upset, how do you raise your vibration out of the upset?
Yeah, that's a really excellent question. Again, there was this one clip where he's like, I can't, especially knowing this now, it's like, I can't feel bad. And Abraham is like, it's not like it's instant manifestation of like sad, dead. You know, there's much more to it than that. It's just an indicator. So the first component is that if you're upset, then again, it goes back to the question before, you know, how do I go about this? If you're upset, then let it ride it out. You know, the analogy they give is that, you know, I've just fallen out of an airplane 40,000 feet in the air and I have no parachute. They say, well, don't worry, it'll be over soon. You know, sometimes you just have to let it ride it out and let the upset go, because what will hold you in that upset longer is thinking, I shouldn't feel this way. Whereas if you can take the hit, now again, it depends on how big it is. If it's really, really, really big, then you just have to get off the topic and try and distract yourself in whatever way. That goes back to listening to music, watching a movie, having a nice meal. If it's less big, then again, you can apply one of the processes to try and shift your vibration. The general advice now is just get off the topic, get happy, and then you can either let it go completely and let it sort itself out, or once you're in a better space, then you can try and shift that topic. I'm kind of going back to your point, Carl, when you say you saw that parking ticket and you felt bad. Once you practice this, and it is practice, it is training, once you feel that negative emotion, you acknowledge it, and then you go about whatever way works for you. For me, what I found is that I just have to let it ride out. If I'm having a crap afternoon, just let it ride out, get home, chill out, listen to some music, have a nice dinner, and let it just reel itself out. Otherwise, if it's not so bad, then I can usually try and shift it in the moment, depending on how big it is. When it comes to manifestations, if it's a continued negative emotion, then, you know, it would go along the line of you would get so-called negative manifestation. But that's not something to concern yourself with, because A, there is a buffer of time. And again, once you customize yourself to how you feel, so Carl, you did very well in nipping it in the bud and not letting it fester, then I would say you've avoided that potentially negative manifestation by cutting it then and there. But again, a manifestation is just an indicator. You know, winning the lottery is an indicator. Having a car crash is an indicator. It's all indications, and once you can get over the fact that it's not going to wipe you out, then you can say, well, this is just a manifestational indicator. What can I do to change it? And just go from there.
Amazing. Nathaniel, I suspect that does answer your question. If you have anything to add or want to ask further, just let us know in the chat room. Great to have your company. And yeah, the chat room is. You asked me how I keep up. Actually, I can't keep up tonight. Sometimes people are just in there going for it. Can you imagine in a year's time when I don't know what we'll do about it? We're a brilliant problem to have. You know, when we've I don't know, when we've got 10, 50, 100,000 times the listenership, how are we going to organise this chat room thing? That's going to be a great problem to have. But I can't quite keep up with it. Oh, Daniel, I'm improving my life and want to change my reaction to things which will change my life. I'll ride it out. And stay tuned, Nathaniel. You know, there's so much support and love for you here. I mean, someone was saying earlier on this evening about, you know, how great it is to be part of this community. And that's what's great about it, as far as I'm concerned, is you've got like-minded people who understand what you're talking about, who are there for you to give you that support when you're playing in this way, when you're playing a different game of life, according to the principles that we speak about on programs such as the one we're doing now with Nick, the law of attraction in action. I don't know where that was going, Nick. I don't know, and I've missed Benjamin Stubbs because he would have loved that, wouldn't he?
He would have count on that.
He would. He'd be editing that out as we speak. How do I recover from that? Help me out.
But what I wanted to really highlight with what you and him have just pointed out in the last few minutes is that awareness is 80% of the job done. It really is, and you have to congratulate yourself on that, because people don't think it's that big a deal, but awareness is really 80% of the work done. Once you can say, I'm aware of this is how I'm feeling, then that is the work. Most people ignore it, but now that you felt it and you're like, well, this is happening, whether that's good or bad or not or whatever, awareness is key, and then that's when you can take the steps to improve it. But without that kind of conscious awareness, you're screwed.
Yeah, and what you're talking about there, of course, is it can seem like law of attraction is a very new thing, but anyone who's aware of the oldest spiritual traditions, you're just talking about transcendence there, aren't you? You're talking about not denying something. You're talking about seeing that feeling or that interruption in your consciousness and just letting it come and go. Like, I remember this from sort of Buddhistic teachings. You're just letting the thought come. You're letting it be there, you're letting it come in front of your attention, you're letting it pass. And it will pass, won't it? Whereas if you ignore it, you lose energy ignoring it, and if you engage with it, you really can lose a lot of energy by engaging with it. But fighting it or engaging with it rather than just acknowledging it and letting it pass, it is not going to help necessarily. It's that old ancient spiritual tradition of letting something be and letting go. And that's what makes the law of attraction seem new, but it's absolutely timeless, isn't it? And I'm sure that's what you appreciate about it as well, Nick.
Exactly, and that actually links back to what I think it was Angela was talking about when she spoke about dieting. The first thing is when people say, I can't have that chocolate cake, that makes them want to have it even more. Whereas if you could say, I'll have a little bit now, it's not that big a deal. And move on, and exactly just letting it go, just chilling out. I mean, if people could just be happy and chill out, that's a work done, really.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, let me just remind everybody where we are. You're welcome to call in, and you're welcome to make comments and questions and suggestions in the chat room. And we'll be back right after this with the. I'm going to get it right this time. The Law of Attraction in Action show with Nick Fon. Perfect.
Good evening, good afternoon, or good morning.
Whoa, that was spooky. That was very spooky indeed. So I got the name right, then I played the wrong sequence. Pride comes before a fall, doesn't it? How very interesting is that?
You're listening to Nick Fon's Law of Attraction in Action show. Find out more at www.thebarefootbroadcast.com.
I said that without moving your lips, Nick. That was awesome.
Ooh, that sounds familiar.
Man, what I could have done was just let it play, and we could have had an early night. Now, again, I'm getting myself in trouble with a bit of double entendre there. Yes, me and Nick having an early night. It's not what you think, everyone. But you think what you like, it's fine. And if your thoughts please you, that's what this show is all about. So, musings from the world of Nick, looking at the law of attraction. What else have you got for us to ponder this week, Nick?
Oh, actually, I was wondering if I had some time to talk about my little Abe retreat. Is that cool?
Of course, absolutely, yeah.
Actually, you could probably quiz me about this because your head's probably a little bit clearer than mine. But what I've been doing for quite a while now is I've just been going away for weekends away with various friends and family. And we just had the best time. It has literally just been chilling, maybe going out, watching DVDs and just relaxing. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice to be able to share that, but in an Abe setting with members of my group? So I've literally just somebody's mentioned it on the A forum, but that doesn't seem to have gone anywhere. I think they've postponed it or something. And it's kind of like the same vibe as a Abraham cruise, but obviously a little bit more specialized, condensed, and smaller. But I really I really was inspired to create this because it's something that I think would be a ton of fun for anyone involved. It's still in the idea stages, so there's plenty of time for me to, play around with different ideas. It was meant to go ahead in June, but since I've got back, all these things have come up and work's clashed, and I've had to take over organising various other groups, and it's all gone crazy busy for me as soon as I got back from holiday, but in a good way. That's probably going to be more August time I'm looking at, but that's still open. But, I just had the vision for maybe like 2 nights in one of those gorgeous apartments. There's some scattered around the whole country. You've got Birmingham, Oxford, Liverpool. I think Liverpool's looking the best. And it would just literally be arriving there, having a lovely meal together, watching DVDs. Next day we'd go through all the processes, share stories, share ideas, again, listen to Abe clips. I would hope to have some one-to-one time with whoever comes for some fine-tuning with some coaching on any personal issues. And then, have a lovely evening, wrap it up, and then everyone goes back to their lives the next day. So it's very much like a kind of weekend retreat, probably early.
Oh, man. Love the sound of that. So you haven't got a venue yet?
I've got various places in mind. It would be one of those self-service, self-catering apartments because it works out a hell of a lot cheaper when you're sharing. And for me, I like to eat, and I like to eat a lot. So there has to be some kind of catering facilities for me to do my food. Plus, I know that everyone has their own dietary preferences. So, I'm very much do as you please, eat whenever you want. You're all good to go. And that's a very important thing for me because I need to eat. So, it would be, and there's so many gorgeous apartments out there, which are like hired out. And it's just a wonderful vibe. Abe aside, just for a social fun thing. But added the Abe environment, added the co-creators, and you've got yourself a really great couple of days there.
I have got an alternative proposal, venue-wise, place where I'm working and staying at the moment in Devon. The accommodation would be perfect. If people want to look at the pictures in the chat room now, I know it's difficult for you, Nick, because you stepped out of there, but I'll send you this link separately. This place would be ideal in the Devon countryside, as far as I'm concerned, with self-catering and sort of upmarket hostel dormitory style accommodation. Used to be an agricultural college, so it's basic but good accommodation. We'd have our own kitchen, and we'd have to go for a walk. And there is a cafe that serves lovely big cakes, and you don't have to eat the whole cake, as we said earlier on. You can share it. But take a look at that, everybody. And I would so love to see Nick organise the first Barefoot Broadcast collaborative retreat where a few of us from this community get away together and meet up. That would be absolutely wonderful.
Actually, I thought that'd be that. I mean, that it just popped into my head. But like, Hay House do it all the time. So many companies do that. They just get their host of authors. So you've got a lecture from this person about dieting, this person about book writing, this person about exercise, this person about law of attraction. And with the Barefoot team, oh my God, you've got experts on like everything. So you've got something for everyone. So that'd be an absolute right. And it's just a wonderful place for everyone just to touch base with each other because, I mean, we connect each other so well online, but it'd be lovely to be with you guys in the flesh.
Absolutely, and I like to think of the Barefoot as an in the round, and not at the feet of the guru kind of experience. So, we know that everybody who comes along has got something to give in some way. So that wouldn't be a requirement, but I think it's it's so much more a matter of, obviously with the one Nick's talking about, Nick's holding the space, he's got the focus, and he's got something specific to share with us. But I think within that as well, everyone's got a gift that they bring along. And the emphasis changes, doesn't it? They can be the leader next time, but on this one they can bring a little gift, even if it's just something nice to eat or whatever, or a bit of massage or whatever. We've got so much to give each other.
Absolutely, and you bring me back to that point, which is I didn't want it to be a me teaching and leading. It's like for me, it's like a heightened group of friends chilling together, but with a bit more focus. It's not about me saying this. It's really This is literally the experience I've had of going away with my friends. Everyone has fun, and it's just a nice way to bond, and everyone goes home that little bit closer and that little bit happier, and that's the kind of vibe that I wanted to create. And, it's just one way of going about it.
Yeah, well, I was going to say you have my blessing. That sounds so pompous, but let me add my vibes and blessing and hope that comes off, and that a few of us can get together later this year and have that fun and fine time together. Sounds brilliant. You're listening to the Barefoot Broadcast. This is the Law of Attraction in Action show with Nick Fon. Yes.
Pay jingle.
And interesting question from the chat room, because sometimes people are looking for a very sort of psychic reading on a very general question, and this is I know you're a very intuitive person, and in some capacity you are a reader, aren't you, Nick? And there's a question, what does he see in my love life? Now, with a question like that, is that something you'd want to take on from an intuitive basis, or do you want to reframe that in a law of attraction way? I'm tempted to say, well, what would you like to see in your love life, and how can we give you the principles of the law of attraction to enable that?
That's just too good. That's too good. Well done. Take over.
I'm really treading on your toes tonight, aren't I?
No, just run it, because you took the words out of my mouth, because it was interesting, because in the Panama cruise that we had, Abe virtually gave a psychic reading to this guy. They said, you've got a lot of jobs offer coming up, but don't take the first one, because that's not what you really want. And that's the first time that I know that they've done something so specific as to say, do this. But obviously they could feel that it was in his vibrational escrow and it was approaching him. But they also said that we don't want to give you specifics because it takes away your attention to it, and it kind of limits you by saying this, this, and this. It kind of closes off your perspective and also introduces resistance. Because if somebody said that to me, I know I would be blocking it, because I'm like, is it here yet? Is it here yet? Is it here yet? So you raise the perfect answer. What do you see? What do you want to create? And that sounds a bit like a cop-out, but I'm not really in a tarot space at the moment. But again, that's what I would do with the tarot when I do Law of Attraction Tarot. It's just, what are your biggest points of resistance? What's in your escrow, which, all the life you've lived, your ideal relationship and love life is there, and how can we work together? So it's just another tool to get in. So I'm not exactly psychic mode now, but I would empower the person and say, what do you want to create? Write the story, write the dream, whatever it is you want it to be, as you want it to be, and watch it unfold for you, because that's all any psychic reader is doing. And it's interesting that we come along to the whole psychic notion, because I believe that all the psychic is doing is telling you where your thoughts are going, and you can do that yourself. And that's why I'm very big on empowering people, and I really wouldn't want someone to depend on me. I heard this great analogy from a friend a while ago is, if you thought of your best friend, what movie would they want to see? Titanic or Terminator? By the way that your friend thinks, that they're going to choose this kind of movie. Are you psychic? Are you predicting? No. All you're doing is saying, well, based on this kind of person I know that they're more likely to go this way than that way. And that's all the psychic is doing. So they're just kind of telling you what you think in a way that you can hear it. But, I say give the power back, and what do you want to create?
I love that. And I would go further and say that that's a real crossroads that we're facing right now in human transformation, and what's possible in the future is that in a way, people who are psychics know that, don't they? The person's likelihood from the energy they're giving out, and a lot of people who haven't wanted to kind of take on the whole responsibility of their lives have been very happy for psychics to tell them these things. And then they can sort of listen to the information. They can say, oh, I like that, or I don't like that. But we're moving into a new space now, aren't we? Where people can write, as you say, can write the story, and can take it by the horns, can own it for themselves, And I don't actually hate the phrase taking responsibility, but in a way there's no getting away from it, is there? The thing now, the new vision, the new capability, the new insight that we have is it can be how we want it to be. And all we need to do is to make that decision and then align with it. Is that right, Nick?
Yeah. Spot on. Take it away, Carl. It's too good.
Well, the thing is, we've got and actually, yeah, that's been of some help. I'm so glad to see that, because we did take a bit of a departure. We didn't just pick up the psychic baton and say, it's going to be like this, it's going to be like that. We did something a bit different, and I'm glad that was helpful. But I'm glad to say as well that there are 3 of us on the retreat for August so far. You, me, and Nikki. Nikki says, I'm in, Carl. Reiki, massage, readings, fun, and friendship. She's qualified, isn't she?
Oh, absolutely beyond. Absolutely.
Superb.
But again, coming back to the whole psychic thing, because I love psychic readings. I love them. But I use them in a tool to help me bridge my belief. I want a psychic to tell me good things, because if they tell me good things, then that'll bridge my belief to knowing. And that's the kind of, that, whether it's a psychic or a doctor or a witch doctor or whatever, you almost, because that you hold them in this high regard, if they say, you will be well, my hands are laid upon you, all will be well, you'll have your dream job, you'll have your dream relationship, you're more likely to believe that because you hold that person in greater regard. So whatever tool you use to help bridge your belief and make you feel better, then, so be it. Again, I wouldn't say claim a dependency on them, but use it as a tool, use it as a bit of fun. I mean, I know I do, so, why not?
Man, this is what doctors are finding now, aren't they? Because, I don't know, 30 years ago, if you went to see a doctor and you had some tests done, and they called you in and they had a rather grave look on their face and they sat you down and they said, I'm afraid you've only got 6 months, okay? 40, 50 years ago, most people would have taken that as gospel truth, wouldn't they? They'd have gone grey overnight, they'd have lived right into it, or died right into it, basically, and pretty much to the day, people would be following the orders of the doctor, which is, you've got 6 months. What the doctors failed to say at the time is, like, everyone I've treated so far, I haven't been able to support beyond 6 months. And that's a very different proposition altogether, isn't it? And people aren't necessarily believing it. A few brave souls began to doubt doctors, I think, didn't they? And said, well, you've got to be kidding. I need longer than that. And then it's funny as well, because some people would have said to themselves, actually, no, I need a year. And then they'd have lived a year. Which just goes to show in a way, doesn't it, that you can choose.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, we're just warming ourselves on the glow of our own wisdom tonight, aren't we?
That's a quotable. You have to quote that somewhere now. That's just too good. I love that.
I'm waxing a bit too. See, I think I've got a confession to make. When I was talking to Penny Waite between 7 and 8, and I'm not bursting into freestyle rap now. That just happened to rhyme accidentally. But when I was talking to Penny Waite between 7 and 8, she said she didn't confide. She confessed. She just was drinking a glass of Prosecco during the broadcast. So I thought, well, if it's good enough for her, it's good enough for me. And I've had an inch of Pinot Grigio tonight, which I'll quickly clear up is a brand of wine, because that could have sounded rather dodgy as well, couldn't it? An inch of Pinot Grigio. And I think it's helping me wax a little more lyrically tonight, but I don't want to get into that bad habit, do I?
Well, again, whatever helps lower your resistance, in moderation.
The actress said to the bishop, yes, that's such a cool chat-up line, whatever helps you lower your resistance. All right, well, I know, Nick, that you bring a few things, a few logs to throw on the fire of our conversation. What else has been occurring to you, or what else would you suggest to the folks who are listening to have a real empowered week ahead?
Actually, can I just talk about the health thing, which we were talking about? Because I had a couple of experiences, because I'm no health expert. I don't really deal in medicine or any of that. But what was really interesting is that my sister, she told me that her sister-in-law is a physio, And she said, you know what, it's just in the mind. All that anyone does when they go for treatment is they just want someone to talk to. You know, she does treatments and she does massage and whatever on them, but they just offload onto her and they feel much better. And I'm like, oh, I feel better now. And another of her friends who works in a pharmacy, it's like, it's all twaddle, it's just all in their mind. And I thought that was really interesting, coming from two people who work with these people day in, day out, because, you know, I can't comment on any medical, it's not my field. But I just thought that was really interesting coming from, you know, people who deal with this on a day-to-day basis. But again, it's using whatever tool you can to feel good. And actually, leading on to that, for people to do this week, I'd say pick one activity that you really enjoy, whatever that is, eating chocolate, reading a book, listening to music, dancing, whatever, and use that as your escape route, if you will, because we've had a few questions on what do I do if I don't believe this, or if the contrast is too big on this and I can't get out of it. Then I would say do that thing you love and reach for that every time you're feeling that subject come up, and just train yourself to say, I'm not going to sit in this space. I'm going to do whatever I can to feel good, and, you know, see what happens.
Yeah, and use the community, because the thing is, there is that, I don't know what it is, if it's like some sort of Protestant, or it's a religious thing, isn't it, where you think to yourself, okay, I'm having a bit of a bad time, I know, I'll just do what I want now and please myself. There can be a sort of secondary breakdown into guilt then, can't there? And I suggest, if you want to play this game, is like you say, okay, I'm having a bit of a tough time, I'm going to eat that chocolate, I'm going to have the glass of Chardonnay. Much talk of wine in the chat room now after that Mexico and Pinot Grigio. But just pop into the Barefoot Soulmates and say, look, you know, this is what I'm doing, and I'm going to enjoy myself. And I can guarantee you, people in the Barefoot Soulmate community will be saying to you, yeah, right on, I think I'll join you, and we can you know, come together and create this really lovely crucible of creativity and joyousness. And I'm sure I've seen it over and over again, and I'm sure you'd agree with this, Nick, that crucible of creativity, that environment of creativity and joyousness is such a productive one. It's not like giving up. There is no need to be guilty, is there? By providing yourself a good feeling space, you make yourself more resourceful, more creative, and more productive.
Yeah, I would actually like to add just a fine-tuning. Do whatever that activity is with the conscious knowledge that you're doing it to feel good, not to numb the pain of the other, because that's where people can turn to drugs. And, you know, you take drugs, don't take drugs, you know, whatever, I don't really care. You know, there's no wrong, there's no right. But do it from a place of, I'm doing this thing because I love it, not I'm doing it to run away, because that's when, you know, so-called addictions and stuff can kick in. And an addiction is something that someone else has put on themselves, and then they start to feel bad. So don't do that activity that you love to do from a place of, I'm trying to run away. Just do it because I'm enjoying this chocolate. It's delicious. I love chocolate. Isn't this the most amazing thing I've ever had? Or isn't this the best song I've ever had? Or the best book I'm reading? And reach from it from a good feeling place. And
right on, man.
Again, it's kind of good spiral of things.
That is a great distinction. Any more homework? Any more tips and techniques for the week ahead? Oh, we haven't talked about the lottery, have we? What are we going to do about that?
Get people to pick some numbers again. You know.
Come on, gang. We want your numbers. The first 6 numbers into the chat room, and we'll, like, you know, we don't want any heavy vibes here. We're just playing. Pick your favourite numbers. Pick the numbers that mean lovely things to you.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's the way to do it. So let's have some lovely numbers with some loving associations here, and let's give it another go. Here's mine.
Yeah, and I think, if I remember rightly, I think it was your number that came up. I'm pretty certain it did. So, you know. Do that 6 more times, and we're laughing.
Yeah, Gareth, I'm calling him Gareth now. Garth Delican. Jack Bauer is not a number. What's Jack Bauer? What's he talking about? Is that a reference to a number? Oh, 24, I suspect, isn't it? Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's have one more number, a nice, loving number, and we'll have our numbers and we'll play with those. And then we might even buy ourselves a retreat and and go live there and have Nick as our permanent guide on the law of attraction. Nick, thank you very much. It's been wonderful again.
Thank you so much. Lovely catching up.
I think we've run out of time, but I'll play this anyway and look forward to your company next week. Have a great week, Nick. It's been fantastic.
You too. Thank you. Take care. All the best.